My towel almost fell. Hi. I'm just about to hit the shower. I came home because it started raining, even though it's still the summertime. It's like, what kind of summer is this? We are in summer 2025, but generally I did have a good day. My coffee mug says good day. My love for coffee is just out of this world. If you're also a coffee lover, cheers to you and welcome to yet another video. Nowadays I keep a bottle of water next to my bed. I was drinking some water earlier because I just want to be hydrated during the summertime. I never used to take a lot of water, but as I grow older, it helps. It makes you less fatigued. Nobody warns you that in your 30s you will be tired all the time. I am tired. You just walk outside, you're panting the way back, just because you hit 30 and above. Nobody warns you. Everything hurts. So water has come in very handy, and this is why I always keep a bottle by my bedside, and I try to take at least 2 of those bottles in a day. It also helps with your skin. You look nicer, more radiant. So water, I can sell by water. I should reduce the coffee intake though. This story is kind of embarrassing, I have to admit. I am very much hoping that nobody who knows me personally gets to watch this, but such things I can't control because YouTube is public. And I am very much hoping that my hubby never watches it, especially even though he doesn't care about social media. I have said that before. My hubby's not on these streets like that, but and yeah, it is kind of cringe. But me, I don't shy away from controversy or a little embarrassment here and there. I will say it. Sorry for the bikes. Who's riding a bike though when it's raining? Some people are hella crazy. Well, there's a guy on a bike. I can see him from my window. My gosh. Even though it's raining cats and dogs outside. You hear the bike? This is the story of the time when a guy dumped me in a foreign country. It made the bloody news because back then I talked about it, and then there's a local vlogger in Kenya who featured that video.
What's good, guys, and welcome back now. In the OGs, and I know several names clicks your mind, which you ain't wrong, you feel me? But guess what? A lady going with the name Elizabeth Irungu on Instagram has decided to come through with some tips on what to do and what not to do when practicing these online distance dating, especially having first-hand information. And so this is what she had come to and say, well, giving several tips on what to avoid and what to do, especially when you're meeting up for the very first time. Enjoy.
And I just wanted to quickly I love coffee. And this is just water. It's so nice to be home, Why did we always go out when we were in our 20s? To the mall, to the club, to people's houses. What were we looking for? It's so nice to be in your own home, right? My bedroom actually overlooks the mountains. I'll turn around the camera and show you that. Such peaceful ambience, like a nice quiet environment. Why were we going outside? There's no place I'd rather be than my home. I'd rather just sit at home where it's nice, clean, cozy, no one to bug you, especially because, like I've mentioned in past videos, my hubby and I, we have 2 different houses. So most of the times I'm here in the mountains because I love it here. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for clicking play. I hope you enjoy my videos. Be sure to subscribe. But if you're a returning subscriber, I love you. Thank you so much for coming back. And you already know that we also have another residence that is more of his main residence in Linz, and he considers this his summer place. So basically I'm mostly here where, you know, there's lakes and rivers, even though in Linz there's also a lake, but this is more in nature, and this is what I absolutely love. Like I was saying, I don't know why we used to insist on being outside when we were in our 20s, because who wants to be out there in the rain and the weirdos and the creeps and the killers running around crazy in the jungles of the world? Anyways, so what happened is that I met a guy back at home in Kenya, and during that phase of my life, I was working in sports betting. Now, gosh, I can't wait to just shower. I feel so sticky icky. Ugh. I mean, it's summer, so it's humid, right? Even though it's raining, it's humid and it leaves you feeling sticky. Anyways, he asked me out. I used to work for actually a premium rate service provider that wanted to also offer sports betting, and he used to work for an actual sports betting firm. So we were coordinating because our boss was thinking of getting a license, coming into the sports betting arena. Because of that, we would be in meetings together, and then finally he asked me out, and he had a lot of money, because that was the beginning of sports betting in Kenya. I mean, we have casinos, but they are the guys who broke the ground, so to speak, as far as sports betting is concerned. Kenyan sports betting was crazy. Let me just show you some statistics. Okay, so let's talk numbers so you have a clearer image and a clearer picture of what I mean when I say that they were making a lot of money, all right? They were making a killing. Before the government started regulating this industry, because at some point the Kenyan government was like, hold up, these people are bringing in so much money that we do not really understand, like we don't really know how this industry is run. So they did crack the whip, and these people had to pay their fair share of taxes, and they used to partner with a lot of Eastern Europeans for whatever reason. A lot of Bulgarians, Ukrainians, they would come to Kenya to be involved in this business. But before the government cracked the whip, these guys were not paying taxes as they should. So at some point they were forced to show their numbers, and the statistics I'm about to give you is after the government cracked the whip, after it had been regulated, right? And this is what we know, right? What is already out there, but we don't know what was hidden and why there was a need for court cases and the government getting involved and the taxman coming to collect. So we don't know how much more they made before the government cracked the whip. But in 2018, for instance, one company, not the whole industry, just one company made 157 million pounds. 157 million pounds. They also partnered with international English clubs, football clubs. They were sponsoring some of the biggest teams on the planet. They were out there doing some serious marketing and PR. We are talking Everton, Everton FC, the Everton FC, Arsenal, Southampton, Hull City. They were not playing. They were out there. FIFA World Cup. I mean, sports betting in Kenya was no joke. These people were making a real killing. That was before the government cracked the whip on betting firms and asked that they pay the taxes that, the country is owed, right? But before then, they were making a killing. Those guys were going in there savage, making a killing like crazy. And he was one of the pioneers of sports betting in Kenya. So when he saw me, he was like, I like that. And I wasn't feeling him like that, but I didn't mind him. Have you ever been in that situation where you're not feeling someone like that? Like they wouldn't be your first choice, but they could be like a third, maybe fourth choice. They're okay. Like if everybody else in the world poofed and disappeared and it was only you and him, you would say, okay, because humanity has got to continue. We have to continue our race, so let's go ahead and make babies. But you wouldn't be, you know what I mean? Maybe that's not a good example. Let me think of a better example. If everybody poofed and disappeared and you didn't know that everybody has poofed and disappeared and you bumped into him, you would ask him, are you the only one here? Because you're hoping that maybe there's a hotter guy and you can recreate with the other one. That's what I mean. There are people who are like your first choice, like they are so your type. They might even not be your type, but like they're like you see yourself picking them. And then there's people who are like your second or third choice, and then he was more like a third or fourth choice. And then there's people who could never in a million years, like if everybody poofed and disappeared and it was only the two of you on earth, you would rather that humanity ends then. Like then let's not recreate, then it's the end of our race. Goodbye world, it's been a good run. You know what I mean? So he wasn't like somebody I wouldn't completely consider. So plus he had money, so that was a big plus for him. So he was like a third, fourth choice. And then I ended up kind of liking his character because he was very business minded and focused and just a smart guy. So I ended up respecting is more the word, not liking, respecting his drive and so on and so forth. But let me just say this right now. Looking back, I don't think I respect him anymore because these are foreigners. Like I mentioned, they were from like Bulgaria, from Ukraine, from like Romania, Serbia, and they are going to developing nations such as Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and other parts of Africa to start casinos and sport betting businesses that for the most part started out very unethically. So back then I was in my early 20s. I was just being like impressed by the flashy things they owned. But looking back now, I'm like, they were shady, You don't know that when you're in the moment. You're just thinking, I want to make it. And then you look back and you're like, this is nothing to be impressed by. It's just a bunch of crooks, only that they are white. And we come from these former colonies where we are programmed to think that all white people are angels. Kenya, for instance, is a former British colony. So back then I wasn't looking at it how I am looking at it right now, having traveled the world, having met people from all walks of life, knowing that in every race there are shady people and honest people. And I'm just looking at the situation back then, how I was just impressed by nobodies. Because if you think about it, apart from money, what did they really have? They were probably running away from charges from freaking Eastern Europe. There are places I wouldn't even walk right now in Eastern Europe because they are very unsafe. And I'd rather stick to Western Europe and developed nations. I kid you not, and I don't say this as like shade or anything. There are places in Nairobi, Kenya that are safer, way safer than places in Romania, for instance, places in Sofia, Bulgaria, for instance. Like why would I have, I wouldn't have known that back then because again, we are brainwashed thanks to neocolonialism to thinking that, all white people are very successful, very straightforward, very honest and yada, yada, yada. So looking back, no, I don't respect him. But back then I used to see his drive, like, these people who are pioneers of sports betting in Kenya. They're very driven, focused, they know how to make money, and that used to impress me, right? That used to be like something I would like look up to. But think about it right now in our grown up years. I checked my statistics, and most of you who watch my channel are mostly over 30. Right now, if you really think about it, why would somebody come to a developing country such as Kenya to get its youth hooked on betting and gambling, right? People say, oh, it's free will, you bet, you place a bet only if you want to. But think about it, when people are in like desperate situations, of course they're going to try everything. They are going to place a bet, especially when you're advertising everywhere. You have all these huge jackpots and winnings announced everywhere, radio, TV, internet. It is taking advantage of the people who are already struggling, and I don't respect that at all. It is not in line with who I am, because when you know better, you do better. Back then, I had no way of seeing the bigger picture and how they took advantage of Africans, right? But you look at it from like a grown-up version of yourself, and you're like, what is this? Ew. And the money I didn't mind, So he ended up asking me out, and we would just like sneak off somewhere, because we were afraid that we'd bump into people from the office, even though we didn't work in the same office, but we knew them from the company which we were working with. And it was kind of like a hot romance, because it's like, when it's forbidden, it kind of tastes sweeter, like it's nicer, right? And back then I was hella inexperienced, right? And I didn't know then what I know now. For instance, I know now that when a guy flies you out, he should send you a return ticket. He should book you your own place. Do not go and lock yourselves up in some stranger's house. Do not go and meet them at some hotel where, you have to share a room with them. No, they should get you your own villa or resort or whatever. And, now I know, as you age, that dates have unwritten rules. So, I mean, if you're a young lady and you get asked out, and that some guys ask you out to a different country, you need to go and watch that video that the vlogger featured on his channel, even though I think I also posted it here. I'm not sure. Maybe I posted it also here. I think I did. You need to watch that, and yeah, you won't make some of the mistakes that some of us made in the beginning. So basically, I went out there and we had a good old time, and then wanted to get down and zatsy. And like I said, I didn't know what I know now. You have to be willing to tell a guy if you're willing to get intimate or not. And he wasn't my first choice, so I wasn't really willing to get intimate. And there's some guys who are okay with that. Like when you tell them, I don't want to zip it and zip it, like Wendy Williams would say, shout out to Wendy, they will be fine with that. They will still fly you out. They will still take you on trips. And there are guys who are like, that's a condition. If you don't do it, then I'm not paying for anything. And so you can say bye, right, to them right there, right then. So he was one of these guys where it's a condition. And I actually blame myself, because I should have told him like from the start, I'm not going to do it. And so I found myself in like a really nice resort in the land of Egypt.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 3.
I'm feeling Egypt. Ooh, let's go to Egypt, Cairo, baby. Misri. Misri. Cleopatra, is that you?
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 3. 1, 2.
We were in Egypt, and it was my first time there. And you know, we did a lot of things. We're in a nice resort, even though I never got to like visit the pyramids. I just saw them from a distance, like, oh, those are the pyramids. I should go back. Actually, I will go back, God willing, inshallah, and just, you know, take pictures of the pyramids, touch the pyramids, because Egypt has a beautiful history. And I actually found that I do have some Egyptian blood in me. Yes, you had that right. I took one of those heritage DNA tests, and on my dad's side, we do have ancestors from Egypt who migrated south and found themselves, I guess, hundreds of years later around Ethiopia, and then they went further south to Kenya. So I do feel like, you know, I'll be going home to the pyramids. Egyptian queen. We had not had sufficient communication, so I had not really said my do's and don'ts, and when he tried to get intimate, I naturally said, no, I'm not here for that. I just want to have a good old time, keep you company. Let's go out drinking, exploring, you know, the towns, and let's go to the old town and the markets and this and that and the other. And, you know, he was ticked off. He was like, grow. That's the whole point. This is why I flew out here. And I was like, no. So he ended up just leaving the resort. I'm leaving. So he ended up leaving. And because again, I was naive, I was young, I didn't really know how these things go, I started insulting him on the phone. Did you leave me? And he was like, shut the F up before I cancel your flight, and now you're really stuck in Egypt. So I was like, oh, he has a point. Let me stop insulting him on the phone. But he did end up paying for my flight back to Nairobi. But can you imagine the awkwardness, like seeing him again in Nairobi, like, he left the resort. We were supposed to be there longer, but then I was like, I've told the story in a more precise way on that first video. I was just walking to the pool when they told me that I have to check out, right? Because the room is not paid for the number of days that it was initially paid for, unless I paid myself. Oh, the embarrassment. Men will embarrass you. No, they will embarrass you. He didn't embarrass a sister. He embarrassed me a good one. But then, thank God he didn't cancel my flight, because back then I was kind of broke. Like, where was I getting, you know, money to pay my flight back, right? Living in Kenya, Kenyan salary, just, you know, excited to leave the country. It was pretty embarrassing. It was pretty embarrassing. So don't be too excited about things, right? And that's what I didn't know back then. Now I know, you know. Now I know. Today I got scolded by an elderly lady, and she was a tough cookie, you know. She wasn't like one of those corny ass elderly ladies who don't have a life and are out to make everybody's life miserable, like Karens. She was like Viennese, heavy voice, tough cookie kind of lady. She grew up right after the war, after World War II. You can tell these are the tough people, you know, people who didn't really grow up spoiled. And so she cussed me out, but like in a really cool way, because I was trying to tell her where to place the ticket, which was in her hand. And she was like, what's the dealio? And she looked at me and she was like, what, do you want me to sign up to your course? Are you teaching people how to live their lives now? Do you want me to sign up, like in a tough what's up way? And I just started laughing, because I miss when people were like that. I grew up in the 90s. People were tougher back then. There wasn't any wokeism where everything is offensive. Everybody's woke. Oh, do not tell them that, you will offend them. Oh, do not talk like that. Like, you know, she was more like Brownie to me. She called me Brownie because I'm black in a predominantly white nation. You know, sort of like, Brownie, hast du ein Kurs, oder? Hast du eine Schule? Soll ich zu deinem Kurs kommen? You know, like in a very tough... That is German for like, did you start a school already? Should I sign up? so I can teach her how to live her life, because I was trying to, help her sort out what she was desperately trying to sort out, because I was tired of waiting, and I was like, nah, there's a ticket get schau, sie müssen so brownie. Should I sign up to your school? And I just miss when even old timers were tougher, and everybody was not so sensitive, everybody was not so quickly beleidigt. What is beleidigt in English? Insulted. Beleidigt is German for insulted. And people were just, more patient, and people were just when people were just generally tougher. Nowadays you can't say anything to anyone because they will accuse you of everything and more. You will be called homophobic, transphobic, racist, everything in between. That you can thank the liberal left in America. They made everything offensive. Just this tough elderly lady in Austria calling me brownie to Americans would have been like, the nerve, they need their medication. It's like, bring back the 90s. I'm a 90s kid, and I grew up in Nairobi where, old timers were tough like that. They'd poke fun at you, they'd laugh in your face, people were fun. People would tease you, people would playfully provoke you. Nowadays it's like, I'll sue you. You will hear from my lawyer soon. Everybody is suing everybody. Do you not have anything better to do? Like the old timer, I just started laughing when she asked me if I have a course where she can sign up and I can finally teach her how to live her life and do ticketing. I still come from a place where people are still not so quickly offended, Kenya, right? And I hope we don't become like the woke America, where you can't say anything. Oh, don't make such a joke, you will offend the gay people. Don't say that, you will offend the aging women. That is called ageism. You are shaming women for being old. Oh, do not say that, you will offend the lesbians. Everything is offensive. You have to walk around eggshells. They took out all the fun. I'm just saying. Listen. Did you hear that? The silence of the mountains. And now a car passes blasting music. Just when I said the silence of the mountains. But generally, I love being in the mountains because of this silence and just, there's something about a small town that is just homely. The other day, I had a very interesting conversation with one of my old friends. She called me up. She lives in the States. And sometimes we just have one of those long conversations because we grew up together in Kenya, and then she relocated to America and I relocated to Austria in Europe. Obviously not to be confused with Australia, but Austria in the mountains of Europe. And sometimes she will call me up and we will have those 3-hour, 4-hour conversations. And the other day we were just talking about people who've hurt us, like men who've treated us badly. And in the past, and we just started saying, have you noticed that a lot of them, it normally comes from their mother? And she was like, bingo, bingo, bingo. A lot of narcissistic men, if you investigate it, if you just look into their background, the problem is the mom. I don't know why. I don't have a degree in psychology and I can't tell you why. But if you listen to even cases of like, I don't know if you can say this word on YouTube, DV, domestic, because there are certain words if you say on YouTube you get censored. But if you look at cases of like men who beat up, I think you can say beat up women, the women normally say that I let his mother know, and the mother was not surprised. Either the mother was not shocked but pretended to be, or they say something like, if you listen to their stories when they're getting interviewed for like, you know, docu-series or documentaries or just TV shows, they normally say like, oh, by the way, his mother would back him up. Oh, and by the way, his mother would ignore me. Or like, oh, and by the way, his mother would ask me not to tell people, not to expose her son. There's usually a correlation. Again, I don't have a degree in psychology. There's a correlation between narcissistic, abusive guys and their shitty mothers. There's just normally either the mom enabled it, or she was in denial, like, oh, my son could never, overprotective, in denial, or the mother herself is abusive, she's a narcissist, and so the son ended up that way, exactly like her, or the mother is weak in some ways where she could not stop her son from the time that the son was a baby. Like, she could just not stop him from being wild. Because when we were talking, I was just telling her about an abusive guy, emotionally abusive. He never hit me, but he abused me for literally years emotionally, and I was giving her examples, and you know, the gaslighting, that it's never his fault, the stalking, the never respecting your privacy and giving you your privacy, the intense jealousy, the obsession, the love bombing. Like, we were just discussing point after point, like, and then he did this, and then on this day he said this, and then I caught him, and then he, and this and that and the other, and he wanted to like keep me on a leash, right? You're not confirming if we are back together or not. Am I still your girlfriend or not? But you're not saying if I'm not, right? Like, you're not accepting me fully and you're not rejecting me fully. You're just keeping me somewhere in the middle on a leash like a dog, so you can always whistle and I can come back, and then you can discard me when you want. And she was also sharing her incidences and her experiences. And then we talked about how their mothers were usually also abusive in some ways, or narcissistic in some ways, right? Like, his mother was also a narcissist, you know, that I am better than everybody mentality, and that need to dominate over everybody, and you could see it in the son, right? And it's such a pity how humans create monsters. You just do it all by yourself. And by the way, shout out to people who've been raised by narcissists, but you have consciously made sure you don't turn out like them. Salute to you. Back to that topic of like narcissistic guys and the toxic bonding that they have with their moms. There's something there. I don't know. It's just that I haven't studied psychology, so I can't really call it like that. But you know, I can't analyze and tell you exactly what it is, but I know it when I say it. You will normally, either they don't talk to their mom, because there are some mothers out there who are not narcissists, but they are raising a narcissist, and that narcissistic kid either is just a bad seed or gets it from somebody before the mother's generation, like it is some kind of inherited bad seed, or they get it from their dad, or they're spoiled by their dad or by their dad's family or whatever. And so that mom who is not narcissistic does not accept the abusive child. They don't accept that kind of behavior, and so they end up not being close, and the child, you know, moves out as soon as they are 18, and the mother will just not have it. They're like, you're an abusive boyfriend to your girlfriend, you're not a good kid, you're not. And the mother, you know, she's standing her ground. And such kinds of relations where a mom is not sick but the kid is sick, they don't talk. Like, you just say, oh, I don't communicate with my mom. And if you dig and find out why, your boyfriend is a narcissist, there's a problem. Houston, we have a problem. I'm just saying. It could be they don't communicate, or it could be they're very close because the mother is enabling his behavior. The mother does not want him to face consequences. You know, you've watched true crime stories where a guy took his spouse's life, and then the mother helps him to cover it up. It starts when they are kids, where the teachers call up the mother and they're like, your son hit somebody, your son insulted somebody, and then instead of the mother teaching their son better, they are like, my son could never do that. Or they pretend to tell the teacher, oh, I'm going to have a talk with him, and then they come home and they reward the son for bad behavior. And that's how they create a monster. It's interesting what humans can do. You have the ability to create either good or bad, and for some reason some idiots choose to create evil. But like I say, my motto in life, be good, do good, spread good, stay good. Basically, try to be good every day of your life. Try to do good deeds every day of your life. Obviously, you're human. Sometimes you might fall short, but ask for God's forgiveness and grace, and then spread that good. Don't be the only one who does it. Teach other people how to do it, or like share with them how to do it, and then try and remain good yourself, right? Be good, do good, spread good, and stay good. That has been my motto in life. Obviously, I've fallen short. Many times I have found myself being like, I can't even be good anymore, where you just want to go and punch somebody. But you know, you ask for God's forgiveness and you try to be better tomorrow, because every day above ground is a blessing, and you just try to bring in good energy. See, like I say, the fight has always been and will always be, I guess, between evil and good. Which side do you want to contribute to? Because one side will win eventually. Which side do you want to win? That's what I normally say. So think like consciously when you do your deeds. What side are you helping? Are you helping the bad guys? Are you helping the good guys who are trying to do their best every single day? Food for thought. Like I said, this is a channel where I intend to just provoke your thoughts, right? We can share food for thought. We can sit here and chit chat. Thank you very much for watching. I think I'm a little exhausted now. I just finished my coffee, and I think I'll now take a shower, and then I can Netflix and chill. I'm also rewatching some old mafia movies, because I've always just watched mafia movies since I was a little girl. They're all named Tony. Forget about it. I like how they talk, and their conversations are usually so... That's what I say. That's not what you say, Tony. That's not what you say. I don't know. I love 90s mafia movies, especially Al Pacino, you know. Yeah, so I'm like watching some old mafia movies, and that's what's currently on my playlist, on my video playlist. So let me hit the shower now, and I just finished my cup of coffee. I like how they say cup of coffee on those mafia movies. You want a cup of coffee? I asked you, you want a cup of coffee? Yes or no? You want a cup of coffee? Fine, I'll take a cup of coffee. Ma, what are we having again? Ma, the way they call their mothers, like that Italian New York accent. Mine's horrible, I know, but if you've watched those movies, you know what I'm talking about. Thank you so much for keeping me company. I will see you on the next video. If you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to do so. Bye bye.